So let's go ahead and get into the story that is also a top story for tonight, because simply the implications of it are staggering, to say the least. So
Absolutely terrifying.
terrifying in some ways too. What's funny is that I've actually seen some people who in Hollywood are against bringing back full-on actors that have since died, but are in favor of this. So, yeah. For what people don't understand what we're about to talk about, Hollywood studios are strongly considering, specifically streaming services, are considering inserting digital product placement ads into classic films and TV shows. So, what does that mean? Basically, I'm not I tried to do my homework on the tech that's being utilized here, but basically what they would be doing is that they would be adding in points within your stream some kind of product placement. So, like, for example, on the article that we have from Batting in the Comics is like a picture of the Hulk in the original Avengers drinking from a Coca-Cola can. Okay? Or in some cases, like if they can actually put like a blank slate on a cup or something, like the example that I've seen thrown out is like in the I can't say bar scene. It's more like the malt shop scene in Back to the Future 2. Instead of it being a Pepsi can, it could be a Surge can, or it could be a Surge drink kind of thing. And that way they would be able to gain ad revenue from that. And on top of that, whereas ad product placement in movies was originally, like up until this point, a one-time deal, like you pay for the product placement and then you're done, the streaming services are looking into a model where advertisement companies or product companies could be looking at paying monthly to keep these ads in place. And if they don't pay, then that becomes open for other companies. So to say that streaming services are looking to become tyrants is, it's not entirely off now.
I mean, they technically already are tyrants when you really look at the current media landscape.
Yeah?
I'm not sure this will work though, because I'm pretty sure they need advertisers more than advertisers need them.
Yeah.
That's the argument that I would have against this, because like if advertisers know that they have the overall power in this argument, are they really going to pay for a monthly service? No, they'll renegotiate with lawyers and say, no, this is a finite thing and it's there for all time kind of deal. And so at that point, Disney Plus and Netflix are not going to be able to get the money they think they're going to be able to get from this.
True, but at the same time, that raises the other horrifying implication. What if it does work? What if enough advertisers do bite onto this and make it actually viable? I get the willies thinking of what the implications might be in terms of, okay, does that mean we're going to start seeing product placements like stitched into films like Casablanca just for no...
I seriously thought the same thing before we started this.
They've already said it, yes.
Reading the headline, I'm like, I can't wait to watch Casablanca and see an ad with J.K. Simmons advertising for Farmers Insurance.
Yeah.
The one that frightened the hell out of me was because I personally, this is one of the reasons I do not watch cable news anymore, is because I don't know if you guys have had this problem, but that fucking ticker at the bottom that goes by, I don't know what they've done for it, but it always is like a focal point for me, and it always stresses me the fuck out. Because that's usually where like all the news is being broadcast. And so at that point, it's like, and you're getting nothing but negative on it, because that's how the news usually goes, unless you're talking about local news. And so somebody actually made the joke of like in the middle of the Avengers fight scene, you have a CNN ticker talking about what Biden's latest policy is, and I'm just like, oh fuck, you can't ruin my favorite movies, man.
Yeah, from what it looks like in the article, though, it doesn't look like they're going to like be imposing like J.K. Simmons selling Farmers Insurance. It probably is going to be more like, hey, we're basically going to be using CGI, like you mentioned, switching out a Pepsi can for a Surge can, or switching out a Coke can.
That's mostly what they're talking about. I've even heard so much as like if they have a clear enough surface on, say, like a car advertisement, that they'll put more placement on it. So like, for example, since the Iron Man films had a solid deal with Audi, that they would basically be just plastering it with Audi logos.
Yeah, I mean, another more horrifying example. I mean, when we looked at Justice League, there was that shot where the Batmobile is kind of, or not the Batmobile, but when Batman's picked up the Flash and is basically saying, "Hey, I need you on this team," you see that billboard for that suicide prevention charity that a lot of people raised a lot of money for, including Zack Snyder. I'm just like, okay, this scene actually had that shot actually has like a thematic importance from a meta narrative because we know what happened around this behind the scenes when they were shooting Justice League. But now I'm thinking, oh, someone's gonna, take this billboard that actually, has a significant meaning to the filmmaker and then replace it with some
And
other
Zack
generic.
can't fight it. Basically,
Yeah.
the way that they've made this internally, creators can't fight back against it. So at that point, once it's on the streaming service, it like the way that they're justifying it is that it belongs to the streaming service.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very much horrified by these implications. And I mean, I've seen examples of this before. Not so much where they try to replace the ads, but where they try to get rid of previous product placements on certain reissues. Another famous example of this being Highlander Endgame, which, spoilers for people who haven't seen this 30-plus-year-old movie based on a TV show that arguably was better than the actual movie. But Highlander Endgame has a fight scene between Connor and Duncan MacLeod. It's kind of this major big thing. And after Duncan beats Connor and actually beheads him in a very sad, tragic scene, he has his quickening and happens to be in front of a JVC billboard. And then in subsequent reissues of the film, they quite awkwardly blur out this JVC billboard. So it's like it's taking this sort of thing to its logical conclusion. But now I'm thinking, okay, so now instead of blurring this out, they're going to replace the JVC billboard with whatever billboard is advertising whatever product has been paid for in a given week.
But again, I brought it up as soon as we talked about this story, but I just want to bring it up. Okay, there are celebrities right now that think bringing back James Dean is absolute. You're digging up his corpse and peeing on it. All right, that's basically the way that they've kind of measured it. Those same actors, I'm not going to name them. You guys can go look on Twitter. They have no problem with this model at all.
Well,
they have a problem with you basically putting in a CG likeness of an actor that has died, but they don't have a problem with this.
Well, that's because it's a different thing. Because with bringing back a CGI actor that has died, that is a person who existed and actually, did stuff. Whereas with product placement, it's likely, given that a lot of these actors have probably worked on films and TV shows where product placement was just the norm, they're probably thinking, oh, hey, this is just, another facet of the business. I mean, no amount of whining is going to change that. I just hope that at least there's some sort of a cutoff where they limit it to films from at the absolute early 2000s. Don't go any further than that, because early 2000s, that was when product placement was starting to become a lot more prominent. And there it's like, okay, it would suck, but at least there would be a bit more justifiable because a lot of the films from then onward had relied on product placement. Don't put in Dos Equis in the scene from Casablanca. Just no. Don't do that.
Yeah, it's... I really hope this doesn't get implemented because here's the thing. If you can justify it into the streaming services, guess what else wants to be a streaming service? Games. Look, Stadia failed, but I can already tell you internally there's a lot of companies right now that really wish they could adopt some form of a Stadia model with their games. Now just imagine that happening in your games too.
Yeah, alternately, the product placement stuff, I can see that literally being cycled out through patches, because that's what they do for a lot of the EA games, is that, you have these companies that pay for these product placements in these games for energy drinks. I mean, Death Stranding, for example. Imagine if down the road a company decided, hey, Kojima, we want to, advertise our energy drink in your game. How easy would it be to, switch out the monster for, say, Who's Your Daddy instead of Monster, or switching it out for Red Bull or some other sports energy drink? And how about, you've got this motorcycle advertising Ride with Norman Reedus. How about, switching it out for some other AMC show? I mean, I can see that becoming the norm, and I can especially see it where if studios start making films where this is a possibility, where it's like, okay, we're going to have these shots structured in a certain way where we can sell these product placements and have them cycled out on a
But
monthly
if you're
basis.
getting that, then I guess the question that I have, Romney, why do you need a membership fee? Because the money that these could be bringing in, you don't need it. And frankly, this basically means that if you, let's just say if you have a model like I'm going to throw this out for an example. Crunchyroll has a model where you basically pay to not see ads. And if this gets adopted, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're paying to not see ads and they do this product placement, you're paying to see ads.
Yeah, pretty much.
So at that point, like, why do you have the services anymore? And I can guarantee you, Netflix, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, they're all going to say, like, well, we still need those. We still need those. Especially Disney Plus going, no, you still need to pay $16 to see our movie, even though you weren't willing to see it in the theater. And so at that point, I would argue, okay, well, but now you've proven yourself to be self-sustaining, so you don't need us to be able to support on for it. At that point, and I know a lot of people are going to scream at me for this, you need to create a tier that is free. You know, you need to adopt what Hulu and Crunchyroll have before you, is that you have to have a free tier where you just see ads. And I know that people are not going to be happy about that, but even at the higher tiers, you're going to be seeing ads. So you can't escape them.
Plus, really, the fundamental thing, and this is something that a lot of YouTubers who have worked in the industry have mentioned, is that 9 times out of 10, product placement doesn't even really work for the advertisers. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, we saw a can of Pepsi in this movie we're watching. Nobody's going to remember the can of Pepsi. They're going to remember the details of the movie.
What do you think people are going to remember more? The Mountain Dew product placement in Sonic the Hedgehog or the Pepsi placement in Birds of Prey? You giggle, Alex, but which one are they going to remember?
I don't, probably the Mountain Dew and Sonic at least, I'd say.
Because it got seen by more people.
Yeah.
So at that point, people could potentially be paying for product placement on a movie they think is going to get that, but then what they didn't see was all of the controversy that surrounds that movie, and then they get nothing from it.
Yeah, but to that, I would even counter this. As someone who saw the movie in theaters, I didn't even remember the product placement. I didn't even remember that there was a Mountain Dew product placement. So if I didn't even remember it, I doubt anybody who sees the stuff is even going to remember the product placement was even there. I mean, it's almost a quixotic pursuit at this point.
I will scare you even more, Romney. Okay, you are technically the youngest on the podcast. We talked about this, but even you can remember a time where you had to watch commercials in order to be able to watch your favorite TV show, correct?
Yeah.
I have already had conversations with a number of people after this story got brought to me, of people far younger than you lamenting the fact they might actually have to watch commercials now. I'm not kidding. There are kids out there just like, we might actually have to watch commercials now? Oh my gosh. That sounds so bad.
Poor babies.
I'm strongly thinking about making a video saying, basically making a video saying, here's what you can do during the commercials. Go to the bathroom. Make a sandwich. Write a text.
Do push-ups.
Work on a novel. Lament your horrible existence.
Get up and stretch.
Stuff like that, yeah.
Play with your dog.
Problem is, I think a lot of people tend to binge while lying in bed. So I think that's the kind of people who this is going to annoy the most.
Yeah, that's true.
It probably is, but at this point, it's going to be inescapable.
Yeah.
So
we're
at that
all
point, they're screwed either way.
Yeah, we're all steadily marching towards the terrifying future that was foretold to us in Max Headroom. I mean, as try as we might to avoid it, sadly, that's the future we're headed towards.
I'm more worried that we're heading towards idiocracy, but that's me.
Well, I mean, technically, like, that's kind of both when you really think about it. Just Max Headroom focused more on, the advertising and all of that stuff. And Idiocracy just showed us probably what the world would look like, with that stuff existing, but far removed, like a good few decades down the line.
Yeah.
Point being, we're gonna basically we're entering the age of corporate overlords.
Mhm.
Let's face it, we're already there.
Yeah. Final thoughts on this one. I think we've pretty much hit the nail on the head. This is a scary prospect, and I really hope it kind of gets overturned. That's me personally, but Alex Romney, do you think this is going to be a reality?
Sadly, I think it is. I
Yeah,
do
I
not
think so
see
too.
anything really stopping this, except for maybe the technology to do it being too expensive. The article mentions it already being implemented for older music videos for musicians, so it's kind
Mhm.
of one of those.
And if
The
this can be
technology
justified here, hey, Street Fighter fans, you remember how you didn't like when Ryu was plastered with Capcom Pro Tour ads? Guess what? This is going to be justification to do just that.
better example. Get used to seeing cup noodle advertisements in all your Square Enix products, kids.
I'm actually kind of lamenting that I can't do that quest in 15, but that's me. Alex, final thoughts?
Yeah, I think the reason this is taking off, and Romney's like, who notices product placement? And I think it's just because everybody remembers, Top Gun created a surge for people enlisting in the Navy, and
Yep.
after ET, the sale of Reese's Pieces skyrocketed. So I think everybody remembers that. At least when I say everybody, advertisers, I mean, right? But maybe I'm wrong about this. I don't know, but I think that happened in a time when the product placement wasn't that freaking common. It's not like today where it's everywhere.
No, yeah, it
Uh,
was not everywhere in
I,
the era of Top Gun.
I guess that raises the question: how many people went out to Krispy Kreme after seeing Power Rangers? It's a legitimate question.
That's why I'm raising my hand. Yeah, it did happen technically. All right.